when you talk about being a dad, you often relate it to when you were contrasted with when we were kids. And that's something that hits home with me because, I had kids later in life. Now they're teenagers. But in the early stages, I remember thinking this does not resemble the childhood that I have in any way.
Yeah.
Because first of all, the fact that so much care and attention is spent on each child was something that was, no, I'm not saying that. I love my parents, but it was a different attitude. There were 6 of us, and I remember very clearly at any given time, if you ask my mother or my father, where's Conan? They'd be like, I don't know, he's, no one knew exactly where you were.
They just sent you outside. Like, that was a lot of it. They just sort of sent you outside, and you went out, and you just met other kids your age and came up with stuff to do when you were outside, and then eventually you ran into older kids, and then they just beat the shit out of you. And then,
this is why.
And then you came up, like, I did a cartoon for Netflix called F is for Family, and one of the first episodes is a scene where the young me and his friend are up in a tree, and these guys start throwing rocks at us and shooting fireworks. And that was based on a true story. There wasn't fireworks, but it was just me and a friend of mine were climbing trees. We're just climbing a tree because that's what you did before there was no internet. That was going online, climbing a tree and risking your life. So we climbed up this tree, and these bigger kids came by, and they saw us up there, and they just started throwing rocks at us until their arms got tired. We were up there, like crying, getting hit in the ankles and in the back. And then you just climb down the tree, and then those guys were assholes.
But I remember that, and I bring this up because the minute that my daughter could drive or my son could drive, my wife would check, and she could show me on the phone where they were. And I thought that just blows my mind. It doesn't
like J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah. It doesn't feel right to me that we are that accountable all the time. And sometimes I wonder if I'm just jealous of. There's like a care and attention.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? And I wonder because when I watch your comedy, when I watched you at Red Rocks, and you're talking about anytime you're talking about your child or your dad, how the house was tense or there was anger, people weren't dealing with things appropriately. I think, I know what you're talking about. It was an era, and I think I sometimes, when I'm seeing my family and my wife's handling everything so beautifully, for some reason I become enraged.
No, I get that.
Why? Where was it? What do you mean? You're looking them in the eye and talking to them? What is this?
I totally get that. I remember one time being in a grocery store or something like that, and I saw this kid. He started crying about something, and his mother went over and started hugging him and comforting him. And I just felt this urge to go over and trip this little kid. And then another time, I remember the grocery store, because that's where a lot of, moms have like the kids and stuff. And this kid was going like, "Yeah, Mom, can I have candy?" And she was just like, "No." And then he started crying, and it made me laugh. I was going to be like, "Yeah, get used to that, kid."
So you enjoy the unhappiness and pain of a child?
I thought I did. But what I realized it had nothing to do with the kid. That was just me with all of my bullshit. I was jealous of the kid who was getting hugged, and then I was laughing at the other kid because I related. Like, I remember when a long time ago I saw Sling Blade when it was in the movie theater, and I remember when he zoomed that guy out of the house in the wheelchair. He's like, "Get out of my fucking house!" And he zoomed him out, and the guy was all helpless. I roared with laughter, and I remember I was with these actors that I was working on something, and they looked at me in this horrified way.
Right.
And I couldn't explain it. You had to be a comedian to understand. Like, I think actors and comedians, they process pain differently.
Right.
Where actors, I think, are more like examining it, where comedians, you just pave it over, and it's like, you're just laughing, not because you're happy that happened to someone in a wheelchair. You're just laughing at just how fucking mean it was. I told you about this. That one time my wife was on the plane with me, and we were going somewhere far, so she had like a tablet, and I started watching a movie, and she had fallen asleep, and I was watching a movie, and I was laughing so hard I woke her up, And then she, you know, when you don't know what somebody's laughing at and you just start laughing, she's like, what are you laughing at? And I was trying to hide it. And she looked and I was watching Precious. I don't know if you...
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
It was literally...
Oh my God!
Some shit, it just gets so mean. It's just so mean. It pushes
you
through
over. Yeah.
into comedy again. The mother said something so fucking mean, and then they just cut to her face, and she was so sad. I'm not going to lie. I'm being honest. I was wheezing. I was literally like waving So I was laughing so hard. The woman I didn't know on the other side of my wife was laughing, and then my wife started punching me in the shoulder. I just gave her like the tablet. No, that's one of my favorite things.
It'd be great if you were a movie
my wife
critic.
has such
It really
a
would
big
be great.
heart. And we're always watching TV, and she's forever getting teared up, and I'm laughing my ass off. Like she used to watch The Biggest Loser, and these fat people would be crying about all the cookies and burgers they were eating. And they were crying like they lost a dog or something. And she would be crying with them, and I would just be laughing my ass off.
So.
No, most of the world is starving. That's why. Like, I went to like India, and I saw this level of poverty that I just maybe want to adopt every kid over here. And then you just come back to America, and there's these slovenly people. I just can't stop eating Oreos. And it was just so fucking hilarious.
Oh.
And
this won't end.
And then it's like
this won't come
out. And then
out.
what it is because my wife
no one will ever hear this.
My wife gets mad at me for laughing. It makes it like, oh, dude, I have worse ones than that. I got worse ones than that.
We might as well get it out now because
I can't say
safe.
this one to protect people. You guys aren't going to laugh at this one because you're told you're not supposed to.
No, that's not this crowd.
All right, some dude beat the shit out of his girlfriend, right?
Well, you're off to a good start. You know how to get a crowd. You had them. You're like, yeah, I can top that.
How else are you supposed to watch the news? Am I really supposed to be going like, oh, for the whole time? Or you can laugh. I mean, it's a choice.
I have to
like,
go.
How does it help me?
But how? Okay, I want to hear you pull this out.
So my wife was so sad about it that I had to make a joke because I wasn't mature enough to be sad with her.
Right.
So I was going like, what do you think she said? What do you think that last thing she said, right?
Sake.
You know? Yeah, exactly. So she gets all mad, right? So she got really mad.
Why did she marry you? She's lovely. I've met her. She's wonderful.
So then like a week later, my mother-in-law comes over, right? The fucking story comes on the news. And after the story's over, she goes, I know I shouldn't say this. My wife goes, Mom, don't say it. And she just goes, I wonder what the last thing she said was. And I died laughing. My mother-in-law died laughing, and my wife
Jumped out of the room.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, neither one of us beat her up. So, like, she can't hear us laugh. I'm not happy that happened.